From everything you need to know about Zoey 102 to Paul Busher throwing major shade at the sequel, here's why the Zoey 101 sequel is a disaster waiting to happen. First off, Paramount Plus added another film to its growing list of young adult films. It's Zoey 102. Fans have been demanding a Zoey 101 sequel, or at least a proper send-off, since the 2005 series was abruptly cancelled 3 years into production. Jamie Lynn Spears played the main character Zoey Brooks, one of the first few girls to step into Pacific Coast Academy, after it had been a boys-only school for decades. To say that the show was a hit would be the understatement of the century. Fans loved the entire cast from Quinn and Chase to Logan and Stacy. And they loved Spears most of all. She bagged the Young Artists Award at the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards and was set to add a whole collection of awards to her mantle, had she not gotten pregnant at 16. Nickelodeon revealed that the 4th season of Zoey 101 would be the last, since Spears, who was supposed to maintain a family-friendly image off-camera, announced that she was expecting. And just like that, Zoey 101 was shelved. Cut to 2023, and Jamie Lynn's dusting it off once again. This time, she's not just set to reprise the lead role, but the younger Spears sister is also an executive producer for the sequel film. The original cast of PCA have all grown up now, living polar lives, but would have to find common ground once again, when they reunite for the first time in years at a wedding. You'd think fans would be more excited to hear the news, right? A lot of drama has unfolded since the show ended in 2008. Alexa Nikolas claimed Nickelodeon protected child abusers. You probably remember the young actress as Zoey's best friend Nicole. She was a hoot to have around, the yin to Zoey's yang, but only while the cameras were rolling. Nicole left the show abruptly after its 2nd season, reportedly because she just couldn't get along with Spears. She and Jamie Lynn were feuding over whatever 13-year-old girls fight about, and Brittany stepped in, allegedly threatening Nikolas that she'd ruin her career. It's weird how Brittany was willing to jeopardize her entire career for her younger sister back then, but has had no contact with Jamie for a few years now. While Nikolas had been pretty coy with any details of her alleged feud with the Spears sisters, she was on the front line back in 2022 when she staged a protest outside of Nickelodeon Studios. That former Nickelodeon alum, Jeanette McCurdy's revelations in her memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, brought back so many awful memories from her time with the production home. She's not talking about a decades-long feud with a 13-year-old anymore. Nikolas is talking about the guy we don't talk about at Nickelodeon, Dan Schneider. In 2018, after working with the studio for 20-some-odd years and making them into a multi-million-dollar production company, Nickelodeon announced that it was cutting all ties with Schneider. It's hard to imagine what could have been so bad that the production company decided to sever ties with its cash cow. Well, verbal abuse and mistreatment come to mind. McCurdy's memoir brought an open secret to the public's attention. Schneider would take child actors to a side and berate them for hours on end, anytime they'd forget their lines. McCurdy claimed that she couldn't remember a single person who wasn't terrified of the creator. Apparently, Nickelodeon made some of the more angsty celebrities sign non-disclosure agreements. Odds are, McCurdy's still under an NDA and can't name Schneider outrightly. But she sure did leave a pretty obvious trail. The former actress also claimed that Nickelodeon offered to pay her $300,000 for her silence. Nikolas has somewhat of a similar claim. While protesting outside of their offices with her group of Eat Predators supporters, Nikolas revealed that Schneider made her feel unsafe on set. The actress claimed that it was like going through hell and back to work with the producer and creator. He'd target her specifically and call her over just to yell at her every single day. Imagine being the star of a mega successful show, yet hating it because of the toxic work environment. Luckily, Schneider is long gone. Unfortunately, so is Nikolas. She will not be a part of Zoey 102, in part because of her allegations against Nickelodeon, and maybe also because she and Jamie Lynn haven't worked through their issues. Another Zoey 101 alum who might want to focus on rebranding himself before the sequel film would be Matthew Underwood, aka the cast member who got arrested. Zoey 101 is credited with launching the careers of several notable actors. Victoria Justice and Austin Butler come to mind. But have you ever wondered where the rest of the cast ended up? I just talked about Alexa, and it looks like everyone else held on to other lesser-known acting jobs over the years. Matthew Underwood technically made headlines, but that was because he was arrested for possession. Life after Zoey 101 was hard on Underwood, especially in the early 2010s. Back in 2012, he was arrested for having illegal drugs on him. Plus, he created a scandal when police found him sharing a room with a minor. A scandal like that is impossible to come back from. But Underwood defied all odds and entered 2017 as a new man when he saved a baby from its heroin-addicted parents. Still, the idea of someone with a history like his reprising his role in a sequel film that should be about nostalgia, good times, and overall great vibes hasn't been sitting well with some fans. But hey, the guy says he's changed, so let's see. Fans weren't too happy with Jamie Lynn coming back to their screens either. They still haven't forgiven her for what the Spears family did to Britney. You probably remember the #FreeBritney movement, which sought courts to end the toxic singer's conservatorship. The whole thing was messy from start to finish. Britney had apparently been going through a mental setback, which prompted her father to step in and take control of her estate, so all of her money became his. Fans soon realized that he was faking the whole doting father act. Some reports suggest that Mr. Spears drained his daughter's fortune to give himself, his wife, and his other kids a better life. All the while, no one cared what happened to Britney. Once the whole thing became public, the Spears family became target practice for the whole world. Jamie Lynn had to step in and defend herself and her family. But to say that massively backfired would be an understatement. A decent number of fans still believe that she shouldn't be forgiven, especially not with her half-hearted apology. Another reason why Zoey 102 could fail is because Zoey's in it. Just to recap, Jamie Lynn is coming back with more power, Dan Schneider's out, Alexa Nicholas was never in to begin with, and Matthew Underwood needs a great PR team before the film releases. Am I missing someone? Oh yeah, you can count Paul Butcher out. Jamie Lynn really isn't winning any favors from her siblings. Off-screen, we have the whole Britney versus Spears family feud, and on-screen, we have Davis Brooks refusing to see Zoey again. I mean, he didn't explicitly say no, but after that scathing TikTok video, did he really have to? When news of the sequel film broke, Butcher took to his TikTok to announce whether he'd be reprising his role or not. He won't. He mimicked a scene from The Devil Wears Prada, where Anne Hathaway's character asks Meryl Streep's character in the film, what if people just didn't want to be like her? To which, Streep's Miranda Presley laughs condescendingly and asks, who wouldn't want to be her? In Butcher's rendition, though, you can see him making out the name Zoey instead of Miranda. That's about as much information as he's willing to dish out about the whole thing. But that was just enough for fans to get sleuthing and find out that Butcher was a victim of the toxic work environment on the 2005 show too. Schneider's behavior was crass. Britney would throw a fit at anyone who even looked at Jamie Lynn funny. And the star of the show herself was too much of a diva to actually do anything about it. Another source claimed that Butcher laughed at the idea of Zoey 102 and implied that there was no way the film would be successful. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? So, from Paul Butcher throwing major shade at Zoey 102 to everything you need to know about the sequel film, these were the reasons why the Zoey 101 sequel will be a disaster.